Hello, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance medical copywriter, and today we're going to talk about your freelance writing website. First of all, is it even necessary for you to have a freelance copywriting website? The answer is yes. Not only is it the best way for you to showcase your skills, it's a way that you can constantly update your portfolio as you get better and you have stronger samples. Not to mention, you're offering website copy as a service to your clients. You better have some stellar copy yourself. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about what makes a good freelance writer website, what are the best elements that you should be sure to include, and we're going to use my website as a place to start. All right, so here is my freelance writing website, which is sarahturneragency.com. So, before we dig in, there are a couple of things that I want to be sure to touch on before we get started. First, there are a series of questions you should ask yourself before you start building your website. And I want to go over some of the questions I asked mine. First was that I got real specific about who my ideal client was. I decided that it was going to be a doctor who had a small practice. They were somebody who really cared about their patients. They wanted more patients of the particular diseases or conditions that they felt they were was their specialty. I wanted to reach people who really wanted to have an impact in the world. And so I got real specific about what those people looked like. I kind of made up an avatar and described them, thought about what they are struggling with, what their pain points were, how I could help them. And then I just kind of thought about what would really speak to my ideal patient and design wise. Blue and white came to mind for the colors I really wanted to use. And so those were just some initial brainstorming elements that I, thought about before I built my website. So then I created, first of all, you'll notice that I'm using a template, right? And this is through WordPress. And the template is very simple. My whole web page or website is on one web page, meaning when you click any of these at the top, you will go ahead and jump down to the section that, the corresponding section, but it won't take you out to an entirely new web page. And I just really like that because I think it's clean, it's simple. And I just like to keep things simple. So I use this title section right here to communicate exactly what I do. And that is I provide expert copywriting for the health industry. And then I use my subtitle to say something along the lines of what's going to happen for them when they work with me. Establish authority, earn more money, and save time. And then immediately I have a CTA or a call to action to book a 15-minute consult with me. And then I use this image in the background. It's a stock image, probably from Upsplash, and it's really simple and clean and immediately says I'm talking to doctors. So just really clean, really simple. My name up here in the upper left-hand corner. And one thing that you'll notice when you go to my website is that I speak directly to one person. And for me, that is one doctor in particular. And this is a big mistake I see people make. They think that if they speak to one person, they're going to miss out on other people that would be also ideal clients. For example, I'm talking down here. I even say, as a doctor, in the past few years, you've seen your hours increase and the amount of time you can dedicate to a patient decrease. So right away I'm talking to a doctor. And the thing is that doesn't turn off people who are also in the health industry, but maybe are not a doctor. I'm constantly getting leads from people who work in the health and wellness space in one way or another. I get a lot of companies that have complex either medications or products or medical equipment because they see that I'm in direct communication with doctors, and so I will be effective at talking to doctors. And then also I reuse these little icons just because they were built into my template. I might not have done it otherwise, to kind of touch back on these 3 points right here. Using money effectively. As a doctor, content production is the best use of your marketing dollars. Establishing your identity and use your expertise to reach new audiences and earn more. So you've already done the hard work, meaning I know and understand that you went to, a lot of medical school, schooling in general. And so now you want to see your practice succeed. So you've already done the hard work. Let me show your patients what you do best. Those are the things I kind of retouch on. And again, I'm always communicating directly to my ideal client, and that does not eliminate other people from reaching out to me. So people tend to think that if they don't have a broad copy for their website copy, that they're going to miss potential opportunities. It's the same reason people are afraid to get a niche or to niche down. They think they're going to lose opportunities elsewhere, but it is really not the case. When you get real specific, you show that you're the expert and you're more effective in your copy. So I check box number 1 for a really great writer website is to have a home page directed at your ideal client and really take the time to outline exactly what this person looks like. That's going to go really far for you. The next thing is I touch on their pain points. What it is, showing that I know how hard they worked. I understand that they're working more and they're not allowed to, people get frustrated with doctors today because they feel like they're not spending enough time with patients. But doctors, a lot of them are equally as frustrated about that. And so that's a big pain point for them. They feel frustrated that their patients are frustrated with them, that they're not spending as much time with them. But really, so much of that actually has to do with all the paperwork that's now necessary for insurance companies. So that's something that I touch on. You've seen your hours increase, the amount of time you can dedicate to a patient decrease, and you're making less. This is true for a lot of doctors, and most people don't realize that. Another thing is they're having to, the people that that are in the front facing part of their office and their practice, those people are there to navigate the insurance companies optionally. The doctors actually pay those people to help you figure out insurance. And so because insurance has gotten more complex and things like that, it's actually made those people need a lot more time and expertise. And so it's affected their practice as well. So next line is you've experienced drastic changes in insurance policies. You've watched your colleagues rethink their practice structure altogether. This is another thing that's happening among doctors. And I figured this out by listening to practitioner to practitioner podcasts, reading practitioner to practitioner blogs, and really doing my homework. I really figured out that they're seeing their colleagues. Some of them are just leaving the insurance, organization altogether. Some doctors are choosing to just not even take insurance anymore because they're actually finding in some cases, depending on what they do as a doctor, it can actually be more affordable for their patients. So insurance and companies, hospitals, and practices used to be your biggest supplier of regular patients, but times are a changin'. And that is true too. Doctors are starting to realize they have to up their marketing game, and they're noticing that. They're hearing their colleagues talking about it. And especially since I write in the functional medicine world, a lot of the time, those doctors are not handed patients by insurance companies. So these are all things that I discovered when I decided I was going to write for doctors by doing my homework and doing my research. So definitely take the time to figure out who your ideal client is. And checkbox number 2 for an awesome website would be to touch on their pain points and how you're going to help them. This is another thing. People tend to think when I get writers' websites to review in my course, the number one mistake I think I see is people use their website as a resume, meaning their entire website is being they're talking about themselves and their expertise and how amazing they are. That is not your job as a copywriter. Your job as a copywriter is to understand them, to help them grow their practice, to demonstrate the value that you're going to bring in your relationship with them. It is all about them. And so is all of your copywriting. So it's a good place to start practicing. The focus is on the audience, on the customer, on the client, on the patient, whoever it may be in your niche. That's where the focus is. So your website is not a chance for you to talk about your passions and, your beliefs. That is really not the place. You can have a small about you section where you touch on that, but primary purpose of your website is to show how you understand what they're going through, how you're going to help, and to make them feel understood. So that is just something to really keep in mind. So that is what this whole website is about. But you don't have time to be a full-time doctor cranking 60 plus hours out a week and work on your online presence. That's another thing. Doctors put in a ton of hours. So working on their marketing is just something they simply don't have time for. And I can go ahead and bet that freeing up time is probably one of the pain points of your ideal client, no matter what niche you're in. Again, and then you move down and you see another call to action that looks slightly different. The first one was a button, ready to save time and earn more. Get your free 15-minute consultation. Why work with me? Words are more important in the medical copywriting than other industries because they explain the effects of drugs, procedures, new technology, and potential side effects. So this is something that's specific to the medical industry, but the thing is you can find something for any industry that kind of fits this same thought process. Then the next thing we have are results, which could also be your portfolio. This used to say portfolio. It was a few blog articles that I had written. They were actually very out of date. They were about 5 years old. So I recently replaced this with results. And so it has just 6 different projects I worked on and actual results, including sales for an email campaign, the fact that one of my clients has a multi-year waiting list now due to our strategy, ranking on Google, landing pages that convert above industry standard. And so you really just want a section that highlights your portfolio. And here's the thing. You don't need to have something that is crazy full of results right when you're starting, because with writing, the proof is in the pudding, meaning they're going to be able to open the writing and see very quickly whether or not you guys can kind of connect and whether or not you can write. It's not like in a lot of other jobs where they need references or they might need some sort of proof if you were like a coder or something like that you can actually do the work that you claim to do. With writing, they can go ahead, open a portfolio piece, check out the live link, and see whether or not you can write. So really just have 3 to 5 pieces in your results section that are visually appealing. They come from different sources. That's the other thing. You want to have them so they come from different sources. I recommend some people when they're first starting out, just because they'll use this as an excuse to not get started. I don't know where to start. Go ahead and publish something on Medium. See something that a blog or an article that would be a great piece for an ideal client, rewrite it, come up with a better headline, come up with better copy, and post that as your portfolio. And then as you go, just keep updating your portfolio until it's better and better. Each time you have a new piece that's a little bit better than the last, go ahead and swap them out. So that's what you should do. Definitely have a good portfolio piece. And notice this is all before the About Me section. Showcase different clients. A simple logo is great for that. You'll see that even some of my old clients that are not necessarily in my niche. This is a graphic design company I wrote for when I was first starting out. Testimonials. So testimonials are great. Make sure you include an image of the person. Circles are better than squares, apparently, because people respond to them more. Read that a long time ago. Not sure if it's really true, but I've always used circles ever since. And then, I just have some testimonials. Some of these people I worked with a long time ago. Some people are recent. And when you're first starting out, they can be testimonials about your character, about what it's like to work with you. It could be a former coworker or boss, maybe that you haven't written copy for them, but they know that you're a hard worker, that you show up, and that you submit things on time. Just work with what you can to start. And remember, there are people who need copywriters all the way up the copywriting ladder. So there are some small businesses who cannot afford, a copywriter like me. And so when you're starting out, you kind of just do what you can to work with what you've got. And as long as it's truthful and you're transparent and you're not misleading anyone, it is totally okay. And then you want to have your services and rates, and be sure to showcase all the amazing stuff they're going to get from working with you. Okay, so every piece is going to have research on the topic, awesome SEO, everything that they're going to get from working with you. And I like to go ahead and put my rates, starting rates, right online. Things like landing pages and email sequences, I don't generally, because there's so much variety in what they might need. But things like website content, primary source articles, blogs, those things, I go ahead and put some pricing right up out in the open so people can get a good idea of what to expect when working with me. There are a couple of benefits to this. One, copywriters tend to have a little bit of a not so great reputation at trying to see what they can get out of a situation when talking to a client. I had one copywriter reach out to me once, and she said she wanted to hire me to help her with a project because she had a lot on her plate. And she wrote back, "I'd like to see your rates. But remember, I'm also a copywriter," implying that I would change my rates on her based on who I was talking to. And I wrote back, my rates are the same no matter what. In fact, they're posted on my website. I don't change based on like talking to someone and seeing what I can squeeze out of them. So that's one reason I like that. I like having my rates online. I like being really transparent, especially in situations like that where somebody might imply that you'll change your rates based on them. I just go ahead and say, it's online, and I am very transparent about things like this. Also, people who cannot afford you and want to wait and want you to write in a blog for $50, they'll see that they can't afford you and they will go away. And that is something you want. Even when you're first starting out and $50 sounds really nice for a blog, that is a lot of time and energy you can't spend looking elsewhere, practicing your skills and finding clients who are actually higher paying and better quality. So keep that in mind. Then there is an about me section. Always include an image of yourself. People really like that. And because they feel like they know who you are and they can trust you. And then I just have a very small about me page. I don't even really talk too much about my background and anything like that. I just talk about why I basically write for functional medicine doctors, which is that I really want to help sick people who are struggling with conditions that pharmaceutical industry is kind of failing. One pill is not going to fix them, and that's why I have a soft spot in my heart for doctors that really tackle that. So my about me section is really about that, and then I bring it right back to how I'm going to help them. So I don't even focus on myself for that long. It's just a few sentences. Again, it's not really a place for you to post a resume and boast about yourself. That is not what people want. People want to know what's in it for them and how you can help them. Oh, and there's another CTA right here. And then I do have a blog. To be honest, I have not had the time to update my blog in a while. So these are actually fairly old. But here's what I remind people about when they're doing their writer website. You do not need a Facebook and an Instagram and a blog devoted to copywriting. I would not do that because your clients likely are not trying to learn about copywriting. More likely, they want to hire a copywriter to do the heavy lifting of the writing work that they have in their business so they can focus on the things they're more passionate about. So having a blog that is about, copywriting and the importance of marketing isn't really as it's not as good of a use of your time and the space that that the blog takes up of your website as it would be to write pieces that they could say, "Oh, I think I would really like that on my blog." This is an example of a piece of copy that they might see or receive in working from you. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, I think, for some people. They think they need to have like a copywriting marketing presence. But the only reason you would probably need to do that is if you were talking to other copywriters like I am. So I'm talking to other people who want to be copywriters. And so it might make more sense for me to spend my blog talking about marketing. But I decided to go the other route and make these pieces that I think my clients would like to have on their website facing their readers. So And I've actually gotten some clients who are really liked what I had written, and wanted similar stuff for their website because of my blog. Then we have a contact form, and this is something else. So I really recommend that you have a button. I moved away from this because just because I was getting inquiries from the course and not just about copywriting. So now it's different. But on your contact form, you want to make sure to tell them that it is only going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be concise. Don't say things like let's chat. When I see somebody says something like let's chat, what that tells me is they don't know what we're going to talk about, that it's going to be open-ended, that it's not going to be concise, and that it might be a waste of both of our time. So people are, struggling with time. We're all very busy. So make sure on your contact form, or wherever, however you decide to do it. I like a button that goes to your Calendly calendar because it's super fast and easy. Make sure you talk about what you're going to talk about on that. Write that out for them. Yeah, and so just really make sure that you don't leave it open ended. All right, now get to work on that website, because now you know exactly what makes a great one. If you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Go ahead and hit subscribe, because I'm always making videos based on your recommendations and your comments. So feel free to drop any suggestions you might have in the comments below. Thanks, guys.